Welcome students. Today we are going to have a short session on carcinoma cheek. I am Dr. Anshika Arora, Assistant Professor in the Department of Surgical Oncology at Swami Rama Himalayan University, India. There are about 7 lakh new cases of cancers diagnosed in India every year, out of which tobacco related cancers are about 3 lakhs. Cost of treatment of oral cancer is about 3.5 lakh. This can be completely prevented by simple changes in lifestyle and regular screening, even have health benefits that reach beyond cancer. About 2,000 deaths a day in India are tobacco related. In the Western world, oropharyngeal cancer is uncommon, accounting for only 2 to 4% of all malignant tumors. In Indian subcontinent, however, oropharyngeal cancer remains the most common malignant tumor, accounting for 40% of all cancers. Around 30,000 new cases are diagnosed every year, with 8,000 deaths, and the 5-year survival rate of oral cancer is 50%. This slide shows you a collection of various oral tobacco, masala, gutka, supari, which are supposed to be the etiological factor for oral cancer, at least in India. The principal etiological agents are tobacco and alcohol. Synergism between alcohol abuse and tobacco use is seen to develop oral cancer. HPV 16 is becoming increasingly responsible, particularly in younger and middle aged patients. According to the BBC, 4 in 10 of all cancers in India are oral cancers, and this is because of the extensive use of tobacco and betel squid. Summarizing the risk factors associated with cancer of head and neck: tobacco, alcohol, areca nut, pan masala, human papilloma virus 16 and 18, Epstein-Barr virus, Plummer-Vinson syndrome, and poor nutrition. In the Indian subcontinent, the use of pan, which is a combination of betel nut, areca nut, lime and tobacco, as well as reverse smoking, are causes of oral cancer. Now coming to anatomy of oral cavity. Oral cavity extends from lips to the oropharyngeal isthmus, bounded above by the soft palate and palatoglossal folds, and below by the tongue. It is divided into vestibule and the oral cavity proper. What is the vestibule? It is a slit-like space between cheek and gums, open outside through the oral commissure and limited by the reflection of the mucous membrane from lip and cheeks onto the gingiva superiorly and inferiorly. The oral cavity is within the alveolar margins of the maxilla and mandible. Roof is formed by the hard palate anteriorly and soft palate posteriorly. Floor is formed by the mylohyoid muscle. The anterior 2/3 of tongue lies on the floor. This slide shows you the common sites for oral cancer, and it is because when patient is chewing tobacco or betel nut or any other sort of oral tobacco, then it is wedged between at the floor of mouth, and also the saliva pools in this area. So area of the retromolar trigon, floor of mouth, lower alveolus and tongue, lateral border, become the common sites for oral cancer. When we are talking about carcinoma cheek, we also have to talk about anatomy of the neck, because as you all know, cancer spreads through the lymphatic system and through the hematogenous system. Carcinoma cheek commonly spreads to the lymphatic system. And in the neck, what are the levels of lymph nodes involved? You have to remember. So the levels of lymph nodes could be level 1, 2, 3, and less commonly levels 4 and 5. And this slide shows you the anatomical location of level 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Level 1 is bounded by the digastric muscle and the jawline superiorly. Level 2, 3, 4 are the jugular digastric lymph nodes, and level 5 lymph nodes lie behind the sternomastoid and anterior to the trapezius muscle. During surgery for carcinoma cheek, all these lymph node levels are dissected properly to remove the lymph nodes. One needs to be aware that both benign and malignant lesions of oral cavity present as a patch or an ulcer. So there are few pre-malignant lesions High risk lesions could be erythroplakia, speckled erythroplakia, and chronic hyperplastic candidiasis. Medium risk lesions are oral submucous fibrosis, syphilitic glossitis, sideropenic dysphagia, Peter-Kelly syndrome. And the low risk or equivocal risk lesions are oral lichen planus, discoid lupus erythematosus, discoid keratosis congenita. Here we can see a leukoplakia which is non-homogeneous. Here we can see oral submucous fibrosis, white bands on the hard palate, soft palate. Here we can see how we measure the interincisor distance, and the patient is unable to open the mouth fully, and this condition is called trismus. Now I would like you to get introduced to a concept of field change or field cancerization. What happens is the diffuse and chronic exposure of the mucosa of upper aerodigestive tract to carcinogenic substance like tobacco and alcohol causes widespread adverse changes in the mucosal epithelium. The consequence of the diffuse exposure is the development of separate tumors at different anatomical sites. So now we have a pre-malignant lesion, and how do we know whether there is potential for malignant change? The following features could help you. The potential for malignant change in a lesion increases with increasing age of the lesion, is much higher in smokers, increases with alcohol consumption. It also depends on the anatomical site of the pre-malignant lesion, like I showed you in the previous slide. The potential for malignant change is particularly higher for leukoplakia on the floor of mouth and ventral tongue. This slide shows you the overview of diagnosis of oral cancers. In history, what are the suspicious points you have to note? First one is non-healing ulcer of more than 2 weeks duration, which is mostly painless. Difficulty in chewing or swallowing. Pain, especially radiating to the ear. Difficulty in moving jaw or tongue. Swelling of jaw, and any history of recent tooth extraction. While starting an examination of oral cavity, you need to have a proper lighting to look inside the oral cavity. You can use a dental mouth mirror to reflect the unapproachable areas. You can have gauze along with gloves, so you can examine the whole oral cavity, and it takes only 5 minutes to do this. Here we have demonstrated how you examine the vestibule. Lift the upper lip and look at the labial mucosa. Spread the lower lip and look at the lower labial mucosa. Then shine the torch inside the oral cavity. Examine the buccal mucosa, upper and lower GB sulcus, retromolar trigon, hard palate, soft palate, tongue, floor of mouth. It is very important to do a bimanual or a bidigital palpation from the floor of mouth for the submandibular gland and the submandibular lymph nodes. Finally, we have to examine the neck or the extraoral examination. A malignant lesion in the buccal mucosa is usually painless. It is ulceroproliferative growth in the sites prone to chronic irritation. You could notice an induration or thickening around the ulceroproliferative growth. Apart from this, examine the rest of the oral cavity for presence of pre-malignant conditions, any field changes like oral submucous fibrosis, and any loose tooth. Once you've examined the main lesion, now we have to notice its distance from the angle of mouth, whether GB sulcus is involved, involvement of the retromolar trigon, how is the skin over the cheek, and if you see that lower or upper alveolus is involved or not. Coming to biopsy, diagnosing and imaging for cancer cheek. A punch biopsy under local anesthesia is ideal. If you find any lymph nodes in the neck, a cytology sample should be taken. After the diagnosis is established, a cross-sectional imaging like a CT scan of face and neck is appropriate to look for the depth of invasion and any adjacent structures involved. An OPG X-ray of the jaw can be done to look for mandibular involvement. A chest X-ray is usually done for metastatic workup. MRI and PET CT scans do not add a lot to the diagnosis or staging or management. This slide shows you an OPG X-ray where on one side you can see lytic lesions in the mandible. A cross-sectional imaging CT scan of the same patient shows lytic lesions again in the mandible. Once you've diagnosed the tumor, we have to stage the tumor. So we use AJCC TNM staging. Important to note here is that for primary tumor, recently in 2018, AJCC has included depth of invasion, not tumor thickness, but depth of invasion into the TNM stage. And you can see if the depth of invasion is more than 10 millimeter, directly the tumor becomes T3. Coming to the nodal staging, the change they have brought about is about presence of extranodal extension. If it is present clinically or radiologically, immediately the end stage becomes N3B. In brief, management of buccal mucosa. In stage 1, surgical excision is the primary modality of treatment, and sometimes adjuvant radiation may be required. In stage 2, 3 and 4, a surgical excision along with adjuvant radiation therapy is recommended. In stage 4B, surgical excision with adjuvant chemoradiation therapy or neoadjuvant chemotherapy followed by surgery and followed by adjuvant radiation therapy. In stage 4C and metastatic head and neck cancer, local regional treatment as applicable or after palliative chemo. Some principles of surgery in head and neck cancer. Most importantly, plan an en bloc resection of the tumor with 1 centimeter 3-dimensional margin. An in continuity neck dissection, which is called a composite resection. So along with the primary lesion, it's lymphatics and the lymph nodes. There are some principles on deciding on extent of mandibulectomy, whether you need to do a mandibulectomy, how much, whether it's a hemimandibulectomy, arch preserving hemimandibulectomy, marginal mandibulectomy, which could be horizontal or vertical, or a segmental mandibulectomy. All these decisions are carried out based on the clinical examination and CT findings. What about margins? So we have to understand that we have to take unstretched 1 centimeter margin in 3 dimension all around. Reconstructive options are planned well ahead before surgery. We plan for a primary reconstruction, healing by secondary intention, skin grafts, local tissue flaps, or faciocutaneous myocutaneous flaps, and finally microvascular free flaps. One has to remember what are the criteria of unresectability in oral cancer. Involvement of pterygoid muscle, severe trismus, pterygopalatine fossa or cranial neuropathy. Base of skull involvement as erosion of pterygoid plate, sphenoid, widening of foramen ovale. Direct extension to nasopharynx, encasement of common carotid artery, internal carotid artery, more than 270-degree contact on CECT. Skin involvement at neck, direct extension to mediastinum, prevertebral fascia or cervical vertebra, presence of subdermal metastasis. All these are criteria for unresectability. Thank you for a very patient hearing, and this was a very brief presentation on evaluating, identifying buccal cancer, its clinical presentation, TNM stage, and brief management for MBBS students. Thank you.